Welcome to my channel, Tanglemire Gardens. My name is Nicola. Today I'd like to talk to you about a little plant called Azolla. It likes to float on the surface of the water. If you have somehow ended up with this plant and you have found that it has taken over your pond, then I'm sorry, but there is a solution, all right? And maybe that's why you're watching this, in the hope that there would be one. So you can either manage it or you can get rid of it completely. But if you want to get rid of it, it's going to require diligence on your part to do it. It is not an easy situation at all, which is why it astounds me, absolutely boggles my mind, that people are actually out there selling this stuff. All right, there are several ways that you can get Azolla into your pond. You can either accidentally buy it, thinking it is the right thing to do, because that's what you've been told, and the people who buy it have no notion about what it is this plant can do. They're probably told that it will cover your pond, it will shade out, give shade to your pond, it will help to cut out your algae. Now that is true in a certain point, to a certain point, all right? You can either buy a plant which happens to have Azolla on it, or, which is what mostly happens, is a bird will turn up and it will come and bathe in your pond or whatever, and it has Azolla on it, all right? Mainly ducks and herons and things like that. I'm a person who has been in the water garden industry for approximately 35 years, and so I've seen a lot of problems. I've talked to a lot of people, and I've also looked at a lot of solutions. If you are a person who has this as a problem, then I'm hoping to be able to give you some advice, let you know what is it, what can you do about it, all right? And I'd like to show you different ponds that have got this situation and what we did about it, all right? So I'm going to be putting little snippets of photos and little videos. So I think that's it. We'll just get on with it, I think. Otherwise I'll just rattle on. This is a close-up view of a piece of Azolla. The segments that you can see there, some of them can break away from the main plant and reproduce and make themselves into brand new little plants. And they can do it at a surprisingly fast rate. You can also sometimes see what looks like little packets of seeds underneath them, but they happen to be spores, as this is a fern. Those spores fall to the floor of your pond and sit there and wait until the conditions are correct, and then what they'll do is they'll float to the surface of the water, reproduce, and become new plants. Those white threads off to the left there, they're actually some of the root system. This plant is very good at filtering water, because it's a very good, nutritious, plant, really. They farm this stuff, and it's for stock feed, biofilters, human food is another one. It's very good in your compost, so if you have some yourself, just put it in the compost or put it on the garden. It absorbs nitrogen through the air, nutrients that are in the water. So it's a very nutritional little piece of a plant. If it didn't just sort of smother everything, we would be all right with it. When it comes to the management of Azolla, there's several different ways of tackling this. If you get to a point where you have so much Azolla that it's literally covering half or 3/4 of your pond, if not the whole lot, and you've got a lot of plants in there, you may find that the only solution for the moment is to literally cut all the plants down underwater. And I've put up a video on a demonstration of that. And once you've done that, it depends on your situation. I'm in a situation where I've got a pretty rough and ready type garden. It does not matter to me that the Azolla goes straight over the edge of my ponds. All right, my ponds are not what most people would have as ponds. So therefore you may find that you might have to net it out or send it down your overflow pipe, or do as I've done, which is use some hose, get the water and shush it over the edge. All right. The idea is to get it down to the point where you've got virtually nothing left. That's when you can make the choice of, are you going to sit there and spend the rest of your days netting this stuff out of your pond bit by bit by bit, or are you going to use orange oil? Or if your pond is big enough, then you would start to use air and bacteria. The one that you're looking at is just a planting pond, so of course I won't be doing any of that. I'll just be using orange oil to control the Azolla. I try very hard to make sure that my ponds are there for the wildlife. So therefore I have no problems using orange oil. All right. And because from my understanding, Azolla has a wax on it, which is why it floats. All right. What orange oil does is it eats that away and makes it sink. But you do need to follow instructions, and that instructions is that you need to get rid of as much of the Azolla as possible before using the product. All right. And there's a reason for that. Now when it sinks, it will go underwater and will decay. If that decays en masse, right, then what happens is it sucks out the oxygen out of your pond, and you end up with all your fish dying. So as far as I know, there's not an awful lot that actually eat it. There might be a little bug or something around, but I don't know of it. All right, and I've never seen anything eating this stuff. In 2019, I was asked to come over and have a look at a small lake that had been completely covered in Azolla and had blue-green algae in it. Now all the fish had died, and that's no doubt because of a combination of the blue-green algae and also the fact that it was covered in the Azolla, smothering it. So probably not a lot of oxygen down there. Also, a couple of the dogs from the owners had gone swimming and ended up exceedingly sick. They did survive, thank goodness. We got hold of some piping for swimming pools, and made a great big long length of it. And then I had one of the girls stand on one side of the lake and another on the other side while I directed traffic. And I got them to very, very slowly drag the pipe across the top of the surface of the water, and that's what you're seeing in this video. And if you notice, if they go too fast, then actually what happens is the Azolla scoots out underneath it, and you end up with it escaping. So it took a very long time to get all of this Azolla off, just many days. And when we scooped it all off and we had a mountain of this stuff left over, what we did was we used it as mulch around the trees that they had there. So once we'd got it all cleaned up and we'd got a hose onto all the edges and got it all out of the plants and got it off the walls and all that sort of stuff, then what we did to knock it on the head, and the blue-green algae, was to put in great big massive air bubblers. And as you can see on the picture that's here, I made up a little stand out of PVC pipe and then attached the bubblers to it. We had 3 of the great big ones. I did a circular system which then allowed me to have small air stones coming off them. So then we also put in a huge amount of live bacteria. But the thing is, it worked. Within a couple of days, you could actually see 2 meters down. You can see every leaf on the bottom of the floor. I put a picture in there of that brick, and that brick is 2 meters down. It took about 2 months to get rid of the blue-green algae. That was the tough one. That is quite stubborn. And eventually we were able to take the whole system out. It was only there to do a job, so it didn't have to stay. There was a lot of Alcinaria growing in the bottom of the pond. Eventually it was able to just take over it and do its job. So, success. I have seen people who have spent 5 hours getting in there, 2 people getting into a pond. One of the ponds I've shown you here, the smaller one with all the plants everywhere and the rocks. They were getting in there. 5 hours they spent hauling that Azolla out, and by the next week it was all back. It was all back. 2nd of January 2022. Now what we've done is some of the ladies here got in and cleaned out half of the pond as I asked them to do, and I've done the rest. And we are tackling Azolla. Alright, so we have cleaned it all out, got rid of as much of the Azolla as possible, put it down into the middle pond, which then went down into the bottom pond. And now we have just sprayed it with our orange oil, and they are going to keep that ratio. Unfortunately, as what happens, life gets in the way, things happen, and the regime that was set up didn't get kept to. So 2 years later, here we are in 2024, and we still have a problem with Azolla. It's definitely not as bad, but we all know that if I take my eye off this thing, if we stop doing this, it will just be all back, and our years of work will be worthless, because within a month or two this whole plant would have taken over the whole pond again. So now what I'm doing is, for the last year I've been placing in the biological filter, the sand, the bacteria, the air I have put in a form of a bubble curtain, all sorts of different things I have attempted to do to use up the nutrient that this Azolla was using to feed on. I thought I'd show you the product that I use to help me with my Azolla problem. So it's from Aquatic Technologies, orange oil. Alright, so we've got a little pond here that's got a little bit of Azolla on it. Now you don't want a lot of Azolla on your surface. Try to get off as much as possible. Normally I would get rid of most of this, but I'm just doing a little thing for you just to sort of show you what you do. Hang on, here we are. I've got it written here. So I do 50 mils to 5 litres. Alright, as per instructions. Then I have a nice pressure cleaner here, which all you do is you pump. And then you just spray all over the surface of your Azolla. Alright, and now don't worry about the bubbles. It does not seem to harm fish, and I've been using this for a while now. So we'll come back in about a week because I've got a few things to do, and we'll see what the result is. Right, so I've come back after about a week, a look at this pond to see if we can see any Azolla here, and it's looking pretty good. There are a couple of pieces. There's one over here. And oh, there's a couple of pieces down here, and that looks like a piece. Yeah, that, and see that one hiding? So yeah, so there's a couple of pieces there. All right, so that's pretty good going. See these ones here? This is Azolla that has not been hit with orange oil. But these ones, that one and these little ones here, they have. Can you see the difference? To my eyes, these ones that have been hit with the orange oil are almost sort of like translucent to look at. And that's a day after they've been zapped with orange oil. So I'm very pleased with that there's definitely something going on here. So there we go. I'm hoping that the information I have given you is going to help you in some way if you do have a problem like I have been explaining. Not everybody has the same problem, and I believe it's got something to do with chemistry of the water. That's my belief in it. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a biologist, I'm not an expert in anything other than the fact that I have spent 35 years dealing with this particular plant and a lot of other things, and therefore it's just knowledge based. That's all. And so I am just Nicola trying to help. All right, and that's what this channel is all about. Yes, I may talk about some of my other projects and things, and that's mainly to get me actually doing something, getting this stuff done. All right, but I'm also hoping that you'll learn something from it, and that's what I'm hoping with this one, Azolla. I've seen so many people who have had beautiful ponds, and they've just loved the idea of being able to sit out there and commune with nature and look at their ponds and their water lilies and their flowers and everything, and their fish and all that, and it's all destroyed because Azolla, if it gets so much of it, it suffocates your pond. It literally suffocates it, and then it goes from a beautiful pond that was living to one that is dying, and you're at a total loss as to what to do about it because you're fighting an enemy you don't know how to fight. So I'm hoping I've been able to give you the ammunition to be able to do something about this. So anyway, thank you very much for coming. All right, I do appreciate it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. All right, I will try to answer them if I can, if I happen to know the answer. If I don't know the answer, I'll tell you that as well. I hope to see you next time.